The galaxy had long underestimated humanity, labeling Earth as a backwater world with primitive defenses and a population more concerned with internal squabbles and interstellar affairs. And for centuries, alien empires have regarded humans as inconsequential, a species to be ignored or exploited if convenient, but nothing more. Yet beneath the surface of human society, centuries of ingenuity, adaptability, and resilience had accumulated in ways no outsider could predict, a slow and deliberate construction of knowledge, technology, and strategy hidden behind a veneer of apparent simplicity and normalcy. And when the first signals arrived, an advanced alien reconnaissance fleet entering the solar system under pretense of observation, humanity watched with careful attention, analyzing every ship, every movement, every energy signature, and quietly preparing contingencies that had been written decades, even generations, in advance, the fleet itself moving with the arrogance of superiority, its commanders speaking with a casual disdain of beings convinced that centuries of dominance in their corner of the galaxy guaranteed victory in any encounter, their senses barely registering the planetary defenses, the satellites, the underground networks, or the subtle electromagnetic anomalies that humans had long perfected as early warning systems, yet even as they approached, confident in their plans. The first message arrived from Oath, Taze, calm, and utterly unthreatening in tone, an invitation to communicate and ostensibly negotiate, a gesture meant to placate curiosity but designed to draw the aliens into the human observational web, every transmission being meticulously tracked, every nuance measured against decades of predicted behavioral models. And while the alien commanders scoffed, humans were already implementing protocols to monitor their every movement, to anticipate every strategic option, and to map every contingency against their assumptions. And as the days passed, subtle shift began. Sensors that seemed inert activated at precise intervals. Satellites repositioned silently to create surveillance networks beyond the aliens' detection. Autonomous drones began discreetly mapping the fleet's formation and energy signatures. And all the while humans maintained a demeanor of cautious diplomacy, engaging in routine exchanges of information that conveyed nothing yet revealed everything to those trained to understand patterns of behavior. And within the fleets themselves, unease began to grow, an almost imperceptible tension as subordinates questioned the confidence of their commanders, noticing anomalies that did not align with their expectations. Yet the humans outside, seemingly ordinary, went about their calculations, their scientists refining simulations, their engineers preparing systems that could be deployed at a moment's notice, their military strategists reviewing scenarios that spanned years of Galactic conflict but adjusted for the peculiarities of human innovation. And then the first mistake occurred, minor, almost laughable. In the alien perspective, a shuttle deviated slightly from the expected orbit of a patrol route, and a human orbital drone observed, tracked, and relayed the data to command within milliseconds, allowing calculations of velocity, energy consumption, and probable tactical intent that were impossible for the aliens to anticipate. Yet they continued with the same arrogance, dismissing minor deviations of coincidence, unaware that every seemingly trivial action was being recorded, analyzed, and incorporated into a model that could predict their strategy better than their own officers. And on the planet itself, humans prepared for a demonstration of force that would not rely on direct aggression but on the revelation of capabilities long hidden, their space-based defense grids. The culmination of decades of covert research were aligned, not in obvious patterns but in adaptive formations capable of responding to multiple threat vectors. And in laboratories, scientists prepared experimental systems, devices that could manipulate energy at scale that defied conventional physics, not as weapons of mass destruction in the traditional sense, but as tools of overwhelming strategic leverage. And all of this existed quietly, unobserved, while the aliens, confident in their superiority, began negotiations they assumed were symbolic, but in truth were part of a human plan to map intent, extract behavioral patterns, and expose vulnerabilities. And as the days turned into weeks, subtle signs emerged. Communication slightly altered, drones appearing where none should exist, sensors detecting irregularities in energy fields that seemed benign but were in fact carefully constructed probes into the fleet's technological composition. And with each revelation, alien officers began to feel a creeping unease, a sense that the calculations they had relied upon for centuries were suddenly unreliable, that the universe as they knew it was shifting under their feet, and the humans, calm and deliberate, continued to operate within a framework that alien minds could not fully comprehend, simultaneously engaging in diplomacy, observation, preparation, and a patient accumulation of leverage that would allow them, at the precise moment, to awaken the sleeping giant whose existence had been dismissed, underestimated, and ridiculed for centuries, of force-built, not on arrogance, but on adaptability, intelligence, and the capacity to respond to threats in ways no other species could anticipate. And as the alien fleet approached the inner solar system, confident in their dominance, the first real test of humanity's hidden capabilities was about to begin, a subtle demonstration of precision, strategy, and restraint that would leave the galaxy questioning everything it thought it knew about the humans of Earth. And in the moments before contact, the sleeping giant stirred, ready to show that patience, foresight, and underestimated potential could rewrite the rules of engagement in ways even the most advanced civilizations could not foresee. And when the first display occurred, a seemingly minor but devastatingly precise manipulation of energy fields that disabled a small portion of the fleet without destruction, the ripple effect began. Officers panicking, communications disrupted, confidence shattered, and humans watching calmly, knowing that the true awakening had only just begun, the galaxy standing on the precipice of a revelation it was utterly unprepared for, unaware that what they had provoked was not merely defense, but the emergence of humanity as a force beyond calculation, a species whose hidden potential, honed in secrecy and patience, was about to be unveiled in full, and as sensors reported anomalies across the fleet. As alien communications faltered, and as humans executed the next sequence of their plan with surgical precision, the first whispers of fear began to spread among the stars. The humans were not what they seemed. The sleeping giant had awakened, and the consequences of that awakening were about to reshape the galaxy forever. The initial display of human precision and restraint sent shockwaves through the alien fleet, rippling from the highest command to the lowest ranks, as every officer struggled to reconcile the disparity between their expectations and reality, and while some attempted to rationalize the anomalies as technological glitches, others sensed a pattern, a deliberate orchestration that pointed to strategy and intelligence far beyond what they had anticipated. Yet humans on Earth continued to operate with remarkable calm, their leaders coordinating seamlessly across military, scientific, and diplomatic branches, each movement measured, each calculation precise, and as the alien fleet hesitated, unsure how to respond, humanity took the opportunity to assert subtle dominance without initiating open conflict, deploying microscale probes that silently infiltrated alien systems, gathering critical data on propulsion, weaponry, communication protocols, and command hierarchies, and in the same moment, Earth's covert orbital arrays began subtle maneuvers, creating an intricate web of detection and control that effectively monitored the fleet's every action while remaining invisible to their scanners. And across the human colony scattered throughout the solar system, engineers and strategists synchronized with unparalleled efficiency, preparing secondary systems capable of countering every conceivable tactic the aliens could employ, their preparations rooted in decades of foresight, simulations, and contingency planning. And while the aliens debated their next move, interpreting every human action through the lens of arrogance, humans quietly refined their understanding of the fleet, noting weaknesses, predicting chain-of-command responses, and adjusting their own systems in real time. And in the corridors of the alien flagship, panic slowly began to replace confidence, as repeated failures to execute maneuvers as expected led to confusion and recrimination. Officers questioning their superiors, questioning the very assumptions upon which their empire had been built, while humans, patient and deliberate, remained calm, using the uncertainty within the fleet to further their understanding of alien decision-making processes, mapping behavioral tendencies, and cataloging the limits of their opponent's technology. And then the humans initiated the next phase of their plan, not with aggression but with a demonstration of capability that left the aliens unable to interpret intent. A simultaneous activation of orbital defense grids and long-range energy modulation systems that created localized gravitational and electromagnetic distortions affecting key sections of the fleet, disabling critical systems without causing structural destruction. And as the aliens scrambled to respond, their internal communications clogged with automated counter-analysis, humans observed, recorded, and refined predictive models of alien strategy in real time, demonstrating not only technological superiority but psychological dominance. And while alien leaders debated whether to retreat, advance, or attack, humans deployed a series of autonomous drones capable of rapid adaptation, their algorithms capable of learning and responding faster than any alien operator could process, effectively controlling multiple vectors of engagement simultaneously. And as the first direct test of human countermeasures revealed systemic flaws in the fleet's coordination, the realization began to spread that humanity's capabilities were not only underestimated but fundamentally misjudged, their potential a force that could not be contained by conventional strategy or intimidation. And on Earth, command centers buzzed with activity, diplomats and scientists working in concert with military planners, analyzing alien responses to every human maneuver, translating the data into actionable insights, and refining their next series of moves. And as the hours passed, the fleet found itself increasingly paralyzed by uncertainty, unable to execute coordinated strategies, every attempted action disrupted by unseen calculations, adaptive countermeasures, and the relentless anticipation of human operators who understood their enemy far better than the aliens understood themselves. And within the alien ranks, dissent grew, subordinates questioning the competence of their leaders, commanders unable to maintain morale, and the once cocky arrogance of the fleet eroded under the relentless precision and patience of humanity. And when the humans initiated controlled energy projection that subtly disabled propulsion systems on a series of capital ships, leaving them effectively immobilized while maintaining structural integrity, the alien commanders finally understood that they were no longer in control, that every assumption they had relied upon for centuries had been invalidated, and that the humans, patient, calculating, and resolute, were orchestrating events on a scale that had been unimaginable. And as the fleet struggled to adapt, humans prepared the next phase, not yet unleashing full force but demonstrating beyond doubt that their potential was exponential. And as alien intelligence struggled to interpret human intentions, Earth's leaders observed with satisfaction the crumbling confidence across the stars, knowing that patience, preparation, and the hidden power of a species long underestimated had brought the galaxy to the edge of a revelation, a slow but unstoppable awakening of a force that would not be contained, that would not be ignored, and that was poised to redefine every notion of power, strategy, and consequence across the interstellar order. And as night fell across the human homeworlds, systems hummed, calculations completed, contingencies prepared, and the sleeping giant had begun to stretch, not in anger, not in vengeance, but in the calm, deliberate assertion of capability that the universe had so catastrophically misjudged. And in the minds of alien observers, a single terrifying thought began to crystallize. The humans were not what they seemed. They had never been what anyone had believed, and the consequences of awakening the sleeping giant were only beginning to unfold. As the alien fleet struggled to regain composure, humans initiated the next phase of their plan, a carefully calculated escalation designed to reveal the breadth of their strategic mastery without provoking irreversible destruction. And across Earth and its orbital networks, command centers coordinated in flawless unison, linking scientific analysis, military readiness, and interstellar communications into a single, coherent operation that allowed humans to act faster, smarter, and more unpredictably than any opponent could anticipate. And within the alien fleet, officers began to recognize a pattern too late: the subtlety of human manipulation of energy fields, the rapid adaptability of autonomous systems, and the uncanny ability of humans to anticipate responses before they were even executed. And while alien leaders attempted to assert authority, the humans demonstrated superiority through simultaneous multivector actions. Small capital ships immobilized, communication relays disrupted, and strategic sensors overloaded with data specifically crafted to confuse, mislead, and delay. Yet none of this was overtly aggressive, merely a demonstration of control, and the aliens found themselves paralyzed between fear and disbelief, their own subordinates quietly admitting that their understanding of humanity had been fundamentally flawed. While on Earth, humans monitored every variable, constantly updating predictions, refining countermeasures, and preparing for the possibility that their restraint might not hold. And as the first overt shows of force were applied, selective electromagnetic pulses that disabled propulsion across multiple sections of the fleet without harming personnel vessels, the aliens realized that conventional retaliation would only deepen their vulnerability. And the humans, seeing the effects, adapted in real time, rerouting energy, controlling fields, and maintaining dominance with an elegance that was methodical yet almost artistic in its precision. And in parallel, Earth's political leaders reached out through diplomatic channels, engaging alien representatives in conversation that seemed ordinary, but was in fact a carefully constructed psychological operation designed to keep the aliens off balance, unsure whether humans would escalate further or maintain restraint, all while continuing to build leverage through observation and adaptive countermeasures, and across human colonies in the asteroid belt. Engineers activated secondary defense systems, orbital weapons capable of targeting the alien fleet with pinpoint accuracy, but instead of firing directly, these systems created controlled distortions in gravitational and electromagnetic fields, subtly interfering with alien navigation and propulsion. A non-lethal but devastating demonstration of control that further destabilized the fleet's internal cohesion, and as alien officers attempted to identify the source of the disruptions, humans quietly traced command patterns, analyzed energy outputs, and predicted maneuvers, turning every attempted countermeasure into an opportunity for data collection and reinforcement of human superiority. And in the corridors of alien ships, confusion mounted, as crew members reported conflicting observations. Sensors provided inconsistent readings, and decision-making ground to a halt under the weight of uncertainty. While humans, calm and deliberate, observed, calculated, and refined the next steps in their campaign, never revealing the full extent of their capabilities, keeping the aliens on edge, uncertain, and increasingly aware that they were facing a species whose power and intelligence had been vastly underestimated, and as weeks passed, subtle but critical advantages accumulated. Alien subcommanders began defying orders, fleet coordination faltered, and internal mistrust spread as humans demonstrated not only technological dominance but strategic foresight, patience, and control. And when humans finally initiated the next maneuver, a coordinated, multi-pronged series of energy manipulations that rendered key weapon systems inoperative while leaving ships otherwise intact, the psychological impact was immediate. Alien leaders realizing that they were outmatched in both understanding and capability, and the realization spread that humans were not merely reacting but orchestrating events, predicting responses, and shaping outcomes with precision that no alien civilization had encountered before. And on Earth, leaders observed the reactions, silently acknowledging that humanity's restraint had given them the upper hand, that the sleeping giant had not struck out of anger but out of careful calculation, and that the galaxy, which had long assumed control, superiority, and predictability, was now forced to confront a species whose ingenuity, patience, and hidden power could reshape interstellar dynamics in ways previously unimaginable. And as the alien fleet limped toward uncertain defensive positions, the humans prepared for the next phase, combining observation, manipulation, and selective demonstration of capability to gradually dismantle confidence, morale, and perceived dominance, while maintaining the moral and strategic high ground. And even as some alien factions debated surrender or retreat, humans continued to act with relentless precision, each step calculated to reveal enough to instill fear, respect, and recognition, but never so much as to provoke uncontrolled aggression. And as the days unfolded, the galactic powers began to realize that humanity had never been what they expected. They were patient, clever, adaptive, resilient, and capable of transforming disadvantage into overwhelming advantage. And the sleeping giant was no longer merely stirring. It was awake, fully aware, and beginning to rewrite the rules of engagement across the stars, demonstrating that underestimation of humanity was not just a mistake, but a potentially catastrophic one. And as the alien fleet's internal cohesion frayed, humans prepared the next stage of the revelation, ready to escalate, reveal more of their hidden arsenal, and show that centuries of dismissal, ridicule, and misjudgment had only strengthened the species of the galaxy had most dangerously underestimated. The aliens had begun to grasp, with growing horror, that every assumption they had made about humanity was wrong, that the species they had considered weak, primitive, and predictable was in reality a masterclass of adaptability, patience, and strategic brilliance. And on Earth, humans continued their careful orchestration, escalating the situation not with rash violence but with controlled demonstrations of capability designed to expose vulnerabilities, test reactions, and reshape the perceptions of the alien fleet. And across the solar system, Orbital defense grids hummed with precision. Long-range energy modulators subtly altered gravitational field to interfere with alien propulsion. Automated drones move with uncanny intelligence, and every movement of the alien fleet was anticipated and countered before they could react, creating an illusion of omniscience that sent ripples of doubt throughout the ranks. While human scientists monitored every variable, refined calculations, and ensured that no collateral damage occurred, maintaining moral and strategic superiority. And in the corridors of alien ships, fear and frustration mounted. Officers argued with one another, subordinates defied orders, and entire squadrons hesitated in maneuver execution, unsure whether action would succeed or be sabotaged by forces they could neither see nor comprehend. And the humans, calm, deliberate, and patient, observed, analyzed, and prepared the next phase, a controlled escalation that would make the aliens understand, in no uncertain terms, that they had woken a force far beyond their reckoning, and as Earth's leaders coordinated with scientists and military strategists, they implemented measures to protect critical infrastructure, secure civilian populations, and maintain operational secrecy, all while projecting the impression of restraint and composure. And the aliens, attempting to decipher intent, misread every signal, every movement, every seemingly mundane adjustment as isolated incidents rather than components of an integrated, multi-layered strategy. And when humans activated a network of satellites capable of precise energy modulation, the aliens experienced their first real taste of human technological superiority. Propulsion systems fluctuated, navigation arrays misaligned, and weapons targeting computers produced errors across multiple ships. Yet no one aboard the human-controlled networks had fired a single projectile. No life was harmed, and no ship was destroyed, a demonstration that left alien commanders simultaneously stunned and terrified, realizing that the humans had caused catastrophic destruction at will but had chosen restraint, a psychological blow that undermined confidence and created confusion. And as humans continued to analyze alien responses, they discovered patterns, flaws, and hesitations. Information that could be exploited to further assert dominance while avoiding unnecessary escalation. And across the colonies, engineers and scientists implemented secondary systems designed to ensure rapid adaptation, creating redundancies and contingencies that allowed humans to respond instantly to unexpected developments. While the aliens struggled to coordinate, communicate, and regain control, internal conflict spreading as officers disagreed on interpretation, strategy, and priorities. And as the humans initiated the next subtle display of power, a coordinated electromagnetic and gravitational adjustment across multiple orbital arrays, the aliens realized with growing panic that every move they made was anticipated, calculated for, and countered with precision that exceeded their understanding. Yet still, humanity refrained from open aggression, instead using these displays to dismantle confidence, morale, and perceived superiority, while maintaining the moral high ground and positioning themselves as deliberate, intelligent, and restrained actors. And in the halls of human command centers, leaders discussed next steps, balancing demonstration, restraint, and strategic positioning, knowing that the moment of full revelation was approaching, a moment when the galaxy would finally comprehend the true scope of human capability. And as alien fleets faltered, humans continued to advance in subtle, controlled ways, deploying autonomous drones to test reaction times, subtly shifting energy signatures to disrupt targeting, and manipulating gravitational fields to interfere with coordinated maneuvers, all while observing psychological effects, measuring responses, and preparing for the eventual escalation that would finally awaken the galaxy to humanity's hidden strength. And the aliens, desperate for understanding and unable to comprehend the scale, began sending requests for negotiation, offers of truce, and pleas for dialogue. But humans, calm and deliberate, responded with measured communication, designed not to escalate but to emphasize strategic superiority, forcing alien officers to recognize that every initiative, every movement, and every calculated restraint was under human control. And as the days passed, confidence within the fleet crumbled, internal dissent grew, alliances fractured, and humanity's patience, planning, and hidden power became undeniable, culminating in a chilling understanding among the aliens that they were facing not a primitive species to be subdued or ignored, but a civilization that had mastered patience, technology, and strategy to a degree they could not match. And the sleeping giant, fully awake now, prepared to move from controlled demonstration to decisive action, not out of anger or vengeance, but to assert humanity's rightful place in the galaxy. And as preparations for the next phase continued, both aliens and humans alike understood that the forthcoming confrontation would not merely be a test of firepower, but a revelation of intellect, foresight, and the ability to reshape the universe's balance of power with precision, patience, and purpose. And in the silence before the next human maneuver, the galaxy held its breath. Alien fleets immobilized by fear and confusion, while humanity, calm and calculating, ready to reveal capabilities that would ensure that underestimation of their species would never occur again, and that the consequences of waking the sleeping giant would resonate across every star system, civilization, and interstellar polity for generations to come. By the time humanity moved to the next phase, alien officers were already teetering on the edge of panic, their confidence shattered by weeks of being outmaneuvered in ways they could barely comprehend. And humans, operating with unwavering composure, began orchestrating actions that combined technological precision, psychological strategy, and the subtlety of restraint, a combination that left the alien fleet unsure whether they faced overwhelming force, brilliant calculation, or something far more unpredictable. And from Earth's orbital command centers to colonies across the asteroid belt and Mars, every human asset was synchronized in a coordinated dance of observation, adaptation, and controlled display. Drones moved autonomously to test and analyze alien responses. Satellites subtly adjusted electromagnetic fields to interfere with targeting and propulsion. And energy modulation systems created localized disturbances that disabled select fleet sections without causing casualties. All while humans meticulously recorded, analyzed, and used the data to refine predictive models of alien behavior. And as alien subcommanders observed repeated failures of coordination, a slow realization began to spread that conventional tactics would no longer work, that the humans had turned every assumption, every calculation, and every expectation on its head. And while some alien officers advocated retreat, others attempted to regroup and counterattack, only to discover that humans had anticipated multiple outcomes, prepared contingencies for each, and maintained dominance without ever firing a weapon of mass destruction. And the humans, with patience honed over centuries of observation and preparation, continued to escalate strategically, revealing technological marvels that the aliens had dismissed as theoretical or impossible. From microscale energy manipulators capable of selective propulsion disruption to autonomous drones that adapted faster than any crew could react. And all of it was deployed with surgical precision, each action designed to reinforce human superiority, not provoke open conflict prematurely. And across the alien fleet, tension reached a breaking point, officers arguing with one another, chain of command disrupted, and morale eroding under the psychological weight of facing an opponent that was simultaneously restrained, intelligent, and overwhelmingly capable. And on Earth, military planners monitored every movement, analyzing both human and alien actions to ensure that the next escalation would maximize strategic impact while minimizing unnecessary risk. Scientists continued to refine energy systems that could manipulate fields across hundreds of kilometers, and engineers adjusted autonomous units to operate with perfect coordination, effectively creating a network of intelligence and response that left the aliens unable to anticipate even half of humanity's capabilities. And when humans initiated the next controlled display, a sweeping modulation of gravitational and electromagnetic fields that immobilized key ships, disrupted fleet formations, and exposed critical vulnerabilities, the aliens could only watch helplessly as their carefully constructed superiority crumbled, and even as panic and indecision spread, humans maintained communication, offering diplomatic overtures while demonstrating absolute control, a dual strategy that left alien leadership bewildered, questioning whether the humans were restrained warriors, brilliant strategists, or something altogether more formidable. And in the human command centers, leaders and scientists calmly observed alien reactions, noting patterns, adjusting contingencies, and preparing for the eventual escalation that would fully awaken the galaxy to humanity's true power. And as weeks passed, the alien fleet became a fractured, reactive force. Every attempt at offensive action countered by preemptive measures and subtle displays of superiority, while humans expanded observation networks, refined predictive algorithms, and prepared contingencies for every possible scenario, a level of preparation that ensured that when full-scale revelation came, no alien could claim surprise or advantage. and at the moment of decisive demonstration, Earth's leaders initiated a coordinated strike of non-lethal but overwhelming systems, disabling propulsion, targeting, and communications across multiple sectors simultaneously, leaving the aliens paralyzed in awe, disbelief, and fear. And as human units continued to monitor, adapt, and subtly apply pressure, the realization crystallized across the galaxy that humanity was no ordinary species, that their patience, foresight, ingenuity, and restrained power made them a force unlike any the galaxy had encountered, and that the centuries of underestimation, ridicule, and dismissal had not weakened humanity but forged a civilization capable of reshaping interstellar power dynamics with precision, strategy, and deliberate restraint. And as alien fleets retreated into defensive positions, fractured by indecision and internal dissent, humans prepared the next sequence of their awakening, moving closer to full revelation, ready to show that the sleeping giant was not only awake but fully conscious of its strength, and that the consequences of having provoked, ignored, or underestimated humanity would echo across the stars in ways that no empire, fleet, or civilization could ever forget, while Earth remained calm, methodical, and in total control, guiding the galaxy toward the inevitable understanding that humanity was now the axis upon which interstellar balance would turn, and the moment for the ultimate demonstration was approaching, a point where patience, precision, and hidden power would converge to leave a universe in awe of what it had so foolishly dismissed for millennia. The moment for humanity's full-scale strategic dominance had arrived, and as humans moved from subtle displays of capability to decisive, coordinated action, the alien fleet, already fractured by weeks of precision maneuvers, confusion, and psychological pressure, found itself unable to mount coherent resistance, and Earth's command centers synchronized every human asset across the solar system, integrating orbital defense grids, autonomous drones, energy modulation systems, and sensor networks into a unified operational web that allowed humans to control space around them with absolute precision, while alien officers struggled to interpret the rapidly changing battlefield, unable to differentiate between minor anomalies, deliberate misdirection, and the full extent of human technological mastery, and when humans initiated simultaneous energy manipulations across multiple sectors, disabling propulsion, scrambling communications, and neutralizing targeting systems without destroying ships. The psychological impact was instantaneous, officers frozen in indecision, crews bewildered, and fleets unable to coordinate any meaningful response. And yet humans did not strike lethally, their actions carefully calibrated to demonstrate dominance, reveal hidden strength, and force recognition without unnecessary casualties. And as Earth's leaders monitored every detail, they refined calculations in real time, predicting alien countermeasures, adapting strategies, and ensuring that each move reinforced both tactical and psychological superiority. While alien subcommanders began openly defying orders, arguments erupted aboard flagship vessels, and internal mistrust spread as humans systematically dismantled confidence in both leadership and technology. And in the colonies across the solar system, engineers and scientists executed contingencies designed to amplify these effects. Microdrones infiltrated alien systems, mapping weaknesses, predicting maneuvers, and deploying energy pulses with precision, while orbital arrays created controlled distortions that paralyzed entire sections of the fleet, all synchronized to maximize human advantage. And as alien forces scrambled, humans advanced, revealing capabilities they had long concealed, from advanced propulsion systems that allowed instantaneous repositioning to adaptive energy networks capable of neutralizing multiple threats simultaneously, and the aliens, unable to comprehend or counteract the human advantage, were forced to acknowledge, through fear and frustration, that every assumption they had relied on for centuries had been invalidated. And while Earth's leaders prepared the next phase, a demonstration that would cement human superiority in the minds of every observer, they maintained restraint, avoiding unnecessary destruction, emphasizing that dominance did not require annihilation but strategy, patience, and precise control. And when humans executed the decisive demonstration, a sweeping orchestration of energy manipulation, drone deployment, and orbital array coordination, the alien fleet experienced complete operational paralysis, entire squadrons immobilized, communications disrupted, and command hierarchies fractured, leaving the galaxy to witness a species previously underestimated reveal the full scope of its hidden capabilities, and the psychological effect was devastating. Alien officers recognized not only technological superiority but strategic brilliance, coordination, adaptability, and foresight, a combination they could neither predict nor counter. And as humans continued to consolidate control, securing key positions while maintaining restraint, alien leaders faced a stark realization that they were outmatched in every conceivable metric, that humanity's power was not accidental but deliberate, honed over centuries of preparation, and that the consequences of misjudging the species had become catastrophic. And across the solar system, humans observed the reactions, refined predictive models, and prepared for the final stage of revelation, knowing that the galaxy was now fully awake to their potential. And as alien fleets attempted last-ditch maneuvers, they were met with preemptive measures so precise, so adaptive, that each effort only deepened the perception of human invincibility, eroding morale, creating internal dissent, and forcing acknowledgement of a power that no civilization had yet mastered. And in the calm command centers of Earth, leaders coordinated the final sequence, ensuring that every demonstration reinforced humanity's message. The sleeping giant had awakened, its patience, intelligence, and hidden strength unrivaled, and the universe would never again underestimate the species it had long dismissed. And as the aliens, battered psychologically and tactically, struggled to comprehend the scale of human capability, the moment of ultimate revelation approached, one that would forever redefine interstellar dynamics, power, and strategy, and declare to all that humanity was now the dominant, calculating, and unstoppable force that had always been in potential, a species whose mastery of preparation, adaptability, and precision had transformed centuries of dismissal into a decisive demonstration of supremacy. And the galaxy, for the first time, faced the undeniable truth. The humans were awake, fully aware, and entirely in control. The galaxy, reeling from humanity's unparalleled demonstration of strategic, technological, and psychological superiority, began to understand, with growing terror and awe, that the species it had dismissed for centuries was no longer a minor player, no longer a primitive civilization to be ignored or exploited, but a dominant force capable of reshaping the very balance of power across the stars. And as alien fleets retreated in disarray, their command structures fractured, communications failing, and morale shattered, humans maintained disciplined control, reinforcing order while demonstrating restraint, showing that their supremacy was not built on recklessness or destruction but on foresight, intelligence, adaptability, and the patient accumulation of hidden strength. And Earth's leaders, having orchestrated the awakening of the sleeping giant with meticulous precision, now directed humanity's influence to consolidate security, protect weaker civilizations that had suffered under alien domination, and establish new interstellar protocols that reflected the true capabilities of their species. And across orbital networks, colonies, and defense grids, humans coordinated the stabilization of key sectors, neutralized lingering threats with surgical efficiency, and prepared diplomatic channels to assert humanity's authority while extending protection to allies and neutral parties, demonstrating a combination of power, honor, and moral clarity that further differentiated them from the panicked and fractured alien powers. And as alien civilizations attempted to regroup, they faced not only the tactical reality of human dominance, but the psychological reality. The species they had underestimated, mocked, and provoked was patient, intelligent, relentless, and fully capable of ensuring that any future aggression would meet decisive consequence. And humanity, having revealed the extent of its mastery without unnecessary destruction, now leveraged this dominance to reshape interstellar relations, establishing alliances based on respect, mutual benefit, and a clear understanding that underestimation of humanity would no longer be tolerated. And as fleets realigned under human oversight, weaker civilizations were stabilized and protected, ancient threats were neutralized or integrated, and the galaxy slowly adjusted to the reality that a species once considered insignificant now held the keys to order, stability, and strategic authority. And across Earth and its colonies, humans celebrated not as conquerors but as guardians, aware that their restraint, patience, and intelligence had transformed centuries of dismissal into a foundation for leadership and influence. And as alien officers reconciled with the consequences of their misjudgment, a mixture of fear, respect, and humility permeated every corner of the galaxy. The memory of humanity's awakening serving as a permanent reminder that their species could never again be discounted. And in the final hours of the initial conflict, humans solidified protocols, shared knowledge selectively, and ensured that their power remained tempered by wisdom, while alien civilizations, now fully aware of their catastrophic errors, began to accept the new interstellar hierarchy, understanding that humanity's combination of restraint, precision, and overwhelming capability had not only secured their survival, but established a new era in which the galaxy itself would recognize the sleeping giant had fully awoken, and the consequences of centuries of underestimation became a lesson written across fleets, colonies, and civilizations alike, a testament to patience, ingenuity, and strategic mastery. And as humans reflected on their triumph, they acknowledged the strength that had always existed within them, a blend of intelligence, resilience, adaptability, and moral clarity that no alien power could match. A species capable of reshaping the cosmos not merely through force, but through calculated, deliberate, and patient mastery of every challenge. And as the stars settled into a new order, the galaxy knew one undeniable truth. Humanity was awake, fully aware of its potential, and the sleeping giant would never slumber again, its presence forever altering the course of history, power, and civilization across every corner of the universe, leaving an indelible mark that would define interstellar relations for generations to come, and the humans, patient, deliberate, and unyielding, stood as both protectors and masters, proving that the species once underestimated was now the most formidable force in the galaxy, the true architect of the future, and the awakened giant whose shadow would forever reshape the cosmos.